Would you disagree?
He would never disagree.
He won't look at me, so maybe.
I don't know who that was at, but.
You're almost blushing.
Will I?
Something.
All right,
Okay.
greetings, everyone. Hello, there's no microphones, which is fine, because we don't have a large audience, but we are live in Wilson and around the world. So if you would like to join me in our karakia to open this mission committee meeting. Whakataka hau ki toru, whakataka hau ki tōtama, ia mā kina ki uta, ia mā taratara ki tai, e hia ki ana te atatura, e teo, e uka, e haunga, si hei mauri. So we have this is the subcommittee doesn't include councillors because their decision making is on this. So we get apologies from Greg Mitchell and Tim Baker. Would someone like to move that those be accepted? Moved by Alex, seconded by Joe. All those in favour say aye. Aye. And it's carried. Do we have any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. So would someone like to move that standing orders be temporarily suspended to enable debate to proceed freely regarding item 3 and 4 on the agenda? David moved. Moved by Alex, seconded by Joe. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. All right. So first we come to the development contributions policy. I had a look at this and I thought, like there's a lot of stuff to work through in the annual plan submission, but also I think it's probably just making a statement of general principle, which you may or may not agree with, is probably the way to go. And I don't think we also need to be heard on this. It doesn't particularly affect our wards really. So if you saw my email, and then second.
Do you want me to scroll to the bottom first?
Yes,
You're still
please.
going to have to say yes or no for a few of these.
Yeah, so yes or no.
I can go on to the free question.
So
It's not, I'm just wondering why it's not. I'm quite happy with that. Paul.
yep. So you guys are right with this. So the board believes that growth should pay for growth.
Yep.
Board believes that easy access to libraries, parks and pools are essential for every community and that DC should reflect this. Board believes that ratepayers should not effectively subsidise luxury developments and that subsidies, if any, should be reserved for affordable housing.
Yep.
Yep. Sweet. Right. So we need to work through these questions. So 2, have you ever paid development contributions? Well, obviously no, because we're the community board. Which policy changes would you like to provide feedback on? I guess we'll just say none. Or all.
There isn't an option, so.
Okay, we'll just leave that one then.
Okay.
What do you like about a recommended policy position on small residential adjustment? Just not comment.
We can put just not applicable and then please see final comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can just copy that from all of them.
Yeah. So that will go all the way down to here.
Yeah.
To support the policy.
I think we should, if we just say somewhat, and that covers it all.
Vague.
Yeah, it's really like in terms of like obviously if you're in the southwest, it's a big deal. But if those principles that we've written there, if those are all followed, then that will be achieved. So
Everyone happy?
yep. Right, thank you. So now we're drafting your plan. So as usual, I think it's best to indicate what our top priorities are, because I think we can essentially include as a appendix all the things that we think need doing, but that we should try and focus. Like I've got an initial list which is very similar to other lists that we've made, but we could probably add some other things. But we can work through because when we come to the end, we can add the particular projects. So, but why don't we work through from the top? Because there's quite a long list of projects that. Hopefully, you have a question?
No, I got a suggestion. It's not for any particular project, so I think I'll be able to work out when to put it in, but I might just ask you. Feel free to let me know. It's a later point.
Yeah, all good. So the first one, what do you think about the rates increase? So it said it also puts giving rates as low as possible while ensuring that service levels are retained. Investments are made in hard and social infrastructure and strategic asset ownership is maintained. Especially around that New Zealand is experiencing recession after period of inflation, felt hardest in underserved areas that fall disproportionately within our port area. However, we believe that we don't have to have that because that they cover the renewals, funding of renewals down below, so you can cut that final paragraph out. So does anybody want to add or change anything to that in terms of rates? Like everybody wants to ensure that rates are affordable, but also like when we ask people, what do you not want? The answer is both diverse, but also the stuff that this board particularly values are not things that people want cut. So,
No, not necessarily.
yeah,
People have, I mean, I've seen people who say, oh, you can cut the libraries, we don't need libraries. Because they don't use the library. We can cut this because they don't use that,
Yeah.
and so we can ask people all sorts of questions, but. Yeah.
and just focusing on the what we think of the rates increase. I guess that's a general statement I don't think any of us disagree with. Is there anything in particular?
As low as possible is really important.
Yeah, but not at
the expense of things that we need done.
Yeah, and like if you have a look at the rates increase that's been proposed is fairly modest when you consider that almost all the increase is, apart from the stadium, but the stadium that's being built, is stuff that's just essentially passed on. So it's insurance and it's just cost pressures. So the next one, proposed spending.
I don't know whether we want to put a weak comment in about do the need to have instead of the nice to haves.
Well, we're asked later if we want to specify that, and like it's one of those things is like I think if we're going to say that, we should say what is the nice to have, rather than just the line. So do you have any comments about our proposed spending on the transport network, blah, 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 major cycle routes, just for, so, I've said, we have no comment to make on wheels to wings, other than say we support a cycleway network that includes the east and are disappointed in the deferral of section 2 of the Aoho River route, which includes part of our ward, I think.
Well, I just note there that it says spending on our transport network and then including that, so it also includes other parts of the transport program as well. I think I'd really like to emphasise our support towards the budget increases for the north-south corridor, because that is something that's been talked about for quite a while.
North-south corridor being
an extension.
Oh, that comes later.
Well, it just says you have comments about our proposed spending on our transport network, and then it says including, it doesn't limit that. So I know we're going to emphasise that it's important to us, but they've actually already increased it in the draft plan. So I feel like that would be sufficient to put it in there saying we.
I don't have any objection to that. I don't think anybody else will either.
What did I say? The board acknowledges and supports the continued investment into the, I'm just going to try and find the line item number.
Well, we can find that.
The north-south corridor.
The north-south corridor and put in brackets, RMF extension.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other transport program stuff that's within the plan already. And I don't know if we have to highlight that, do we?
Well, no, like we can say go through the things that we like, but I mean this is obviously something that's particularly important to Alex. Like I don't think we need to go because
they're just after, I guess, feedback on, you know, if something is, we think something is particularly important, or something is particularly, we're particularly annoyed that it's been delayed or something, then we can mention that.
I've asked for more information from Crystal about the Eastern Orbital cycle route. And I'm just wondering where that goes, and if it includes like some of the bits that I've highlighted in that list I sent you. Or whether we have to do additional for that.
Well, does it appear in the,
The plan,
where is it, Eastern Local Cycle Network, Eastern Orbital, so there's only money in, so it's no change from the long-term plan, so.
yeah, but some of the bits that I highlighted on my list that I sent through from Reading, like the extending down Bridge Street and the South Shore bit that they want done in Marine Parade, whether we can tie that all in together.
It says, package of local cycleways along the eastern section of the outer orbital from New Brighton to QE2 campus includes Dyers Road, Estuary Road, Union Street, Shore Ave, Boho Road, Rockwood Ave and Travis Road. So
But I was just wanting some more detail, is that where it is, so that we can actually make sure
yeah, I guess
that all links all together.
I guess we could say the board wishes to ensure that the eastern outer orbital is coordinated with other transport projects or other capital projects in the area. And that's about
I
all.
don't know if those capital projects exist.
Yeah, but I guess that's all we can say at this point from the information we have. Anything else in terms of transport? I mean, it's in the list of things. So the one thing that particularly keen to try and get in addition in the Linwood ward is more money for the Bromley transport plan. So I think if I would appreciate support if the board wishes, would like the Bromley transport plan to be fully funded. And I don't actually know what that would cost because we haven't been given those numbers. But
We can say whatever.
But I think we should just we can say
This section.
so in this section because it is a transport plan.
Yeah, I'm happy to support that.
Yeah, so the board. The board would like
Be a bit worried.
funding towards the implementation of the Bromley transport plan.
There we go.
Yeah.
Another page.
As a matter of priority. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to,
You want to reference the amount, sorry.
Oh, it's about 5 million.
So the board would like funding.
Although I wouldn't want to put in the cost amount because if they come back and say like it's actually going to cost $10 million, I don't want to restrict.
Well, the problem is that like with something like this, because there's 250,000, which is in there from the long-term plan to do very small amount of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I don't want to limit it.
No,
by
no.
putting in that $5 amount.
What is it? Do you know how to do the symbol of 5 million or more?
No.
No. Well, let's just we're not
A minimum of,
okay. So
minimum
here's
of.
put it like this: 5 million is actually a reasonable amount. Like it's
Okay, yeah.
like it's a reasonable amount to ask for. It's a good amount of money, but it's a reasonable amount to ask for.
Yep.
And that's the amount that's been talked.
And that is the amount that's been
Okay,
talked.
okay, yeah.
And it won't
yeah,
do everything that needs to be
Okay.
done, so it's not like it's
Mm.
too much.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's right. I just want to make sure that we know.
so those that you've listed further down, you
Yeah.
don't need to include those in this section.
I think, so I went through after and I had gone through this and listed things. So when it is appropriate and we want to highlight something, I think we can mention it. But I don't want to do that for everything. Obviously, everything is important, just not as, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering whether we change the format or just keep it all together.
Or we should try and keep the format, I think.
The format can't change because
yeah,
that's the
'cause
template.
So, but like putting some of these projects in there instead of like
Yeah.
further down onto the.
How about we work through it, and when we come to the list, we can have a look at that.
I just want to do a wee query.
Yep.
The New Brighton Crag has got 1.7 for next year only. Is the rest of the funding already in the current AP? You know, because that's only showing 1.7 of it.
Hold on a second. I'm not quite sure what you mean.
What was it?
So there's currently 1.6 million in this, but
Is that the mall crack or is that the other crack?
It's only one crack, Joe.
so
There's a 1.6 further down, I'm just looking at.
the marine.
So one's got 1.7 and then two steps down from that is a 1.6.
Walk to Bow Hill Street.
So there's Marine Parade renewal, which is the Hawke Street to 2187 Marine Parade, which is the one that we just approved. And what is the other one you're referring to?
The numbers are 61030 and 72242.
So there is a New Brighton project planning and funding, which is to support communities, but yeah, I don't.
And the other one's
that's
Marine
proposed.
Parade Walk to Bogle, and that's only 1.6, but
So
I
that's,
thought the pot was a lot bigger than.
so what that is you've got the 1.7 is the full pot. The 1.6 is the funding that we've approved for Marine Parade. The difference is the remainder. So that 100,000 or so dollars, I think, is the money that's left in that craft pool.
Also noting that staff advised the last time that monies had been spent to date with.
So that is in the 24, 25.
So the whole budget that you made reference to is not going to be that.
Yeah,
If
no, that's what I was,
See what I'm-
that's what I was inquiring about was that
Does
budget
include this
prior
year,
to including the work that they've already done. So that would be 24, 25, not 25.
Yeah, so there's 25, 26 is the,
construction, I'd say.
yeah, that'll be it.
Cheap.
Right.
Because it's quite cheap.
Yeah, it is actually. Shall we keep moving?
Yep.
Do you have any comment about the proposed spending on R3? What is network? And I said we support increased three-ward budgets and in particular prioritising wastewater treatment plant upgrades and repairs and pump station renewals in Woolston. And then I don't know why it says we support there. That's a however, we do not support reductions to flood protection and control work. And I asked around and I don't know why that is happening, and I would like it explained, but we can always.
Where is that? Sorry, Paul. Numbers actually decrease.
So if you go to the actual annual plan document.
Yeah.
And,
I guess the project number would be.
Well, this is the budgets overall.
Okay, yeah.
And
Could I clarify, because my understanding is that councillors approved during the long-term planning process of what, $1.2 million for 10 years for, I guess, street flooding. Is that included? You're not talking that separate, you're talking, I guess you're talking about the budget overall and that would fall within that.
hold on a second, I just need to make sure it goes to the I just need to get the actual numbers here.
While you're looking for that, I've got a question probably for Chris or Cindy. In terms of the, what are they calling it now? Is that, the water reforms, is this an appropriate place to provide our thoughts on whether or not we want to, support keeping them in-house?
No, that's a separate
There's a
process.
separate submission process.
Okay.
So in the financial overview, it shows about a reduction of about 1.8 million in to the flood protection and control works. But when so, and it shows, however, in if you go to page 63 in the actual annual plan,
Draft or actual?
so this is
Oh, yeah, I got it, yeah.
yeah, so you have the proposed budget shows that there is a change of negative 12, almost $13 million.
Hmm.
I don't, so they've fiddled, so the total net, because they've fiddled around a little bit, is a negative, is just under $12 million. I don't know what that is, but on its face, it doesn't look good.
Probably maybe use some stronger words there, because I mean, we always talk about how we want flooding, money to address, flooding, and I know some of it will fall under different budgets, but it's probably the biggest kickback we get is funding's prioritised on a needs basis, and that the flooding we've got is. So I mean, I'd be quite good for some stronger words.
Well, I guess,
there.
however, we strongly oppose any reduction.
Thank you.
And if it turns out that we've, obviously don't have all the information that we need, then we can say we didn't have all the information we need. I'm happy to work on my feet when I give the oral.
Because there's a couple of items that we need to kind of highlight as well in regards to the waters, which is one of them is of course the North Beach pipelines, the stormwater pipelines, and there's also it would be really good to be able to get, as we mentioned at the meeting the other day, some investigative work into other areas which actually need to have focus on them. And apparently that information is available through City Care Water.
So that, I guess the information though is a not a capital.
But it might be a matter of having to have funds to actually obtain it.
Okay, I think you've noted that though, haven't you, in a further down?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll make sure that's included in our list of things. But I do think we can make a particular mention of the North Beach. What's its technical name?
Stormwater outlets.
The North Beach Stormwater Outlet.
There's 3 of them.
Stormwater outlets. Okay, the board wishes what is it? Wishes the North Beach storm water outlets.
Maybe the 3.
See the 3.
I do one.
The 3 North
It's just the one
outlets
yeah.
upgraded to resolve this long-standing issue. Okay. Any other?
There's a item that I put in, a question for regarding the decommissioning of the red zone water supply pipes along New Brighton Road. And I haven't had a response to that yet, but I think that's probably something I can take away from this and move on, because I know for my family's properties, which are in Barrag, the water supply was in New Brighton Road, And I'm just worried that there may be other properties which back onto the red zone that do have their water supply along there, so I just want that thought about before we go and take it all away.
So is there anything we can include in this or?
I think I'll just have to
Right,
mention it away from this.
yeah, okay,
Or
we'll,
you can put it in your own personal submission, choose to.
Yeah.
right. So next, do you have any comments about proposed spending on parks and reserves? We're supportive of the intention to enhance park reserve and riverbanks and a $33 million increase. That's, we do have a bunch of, we can copy and paste our parks and reserves from the bottom list into there. If we want to, we just want to put a placeholder there.
I think the big thing is that, the maintenance of them is a big thing too. Because a lot of people are seeing parks and reserves, for example, like down at Thompson Park, heaps and heaps of weeds. Well,
Yeah,
and on the other hand, there's people planting a whole lot more stuff. And it's like, hang on, why don't you remove the weeds before planting more?
it's I guess it's a service levels thing.
Yeah.
So
I
we,
also think that probably giving it more money like they have is probably going to help address that as well. Because they've got more funding too.
And they've got more stuff.
and they'll be able to put in,
in-house.
yeah, they'll be able to put in more mitigation stuff for weeding and things. So, so I think kind of captured it there.
Say we're very, very supportive.
Look, we are supportive of the intention to enhance parks and reserves. Yeah, do you have any other comments about spending on capital program in general? I just said we support bring forward spending on Bexley landfill remediation.
I'm concerned that I'd potentially like it noted here, it might not be in the right space. Let me just, sorry, I was trying to get it up. So line item. You don't know what the difference between the program and the delivery packages. So if I go 60113, minus safety intervention, below it is 65924 delivery package minus safety interventions.
No,
Because I guess just my concern is we've had a number of residents time and time again come to the board and, ask for some safety improvements. And we've been told there's no money, and it's on a.
actually, that's a really good point. I do think that it would be good to ask for an increase to the minor safety intervention.
They are increasing it. So what I'm
What's it being increased by though?
so it looks like, not much. So 146,000. Oh, sorry. I see here's another budget again, because there's another delivery package. Look, it looks like 370,000, 146,000 and 422,000 across 3 different lines. So not much in the scheme of things if you get how much things cost. I think my concern as well is that every time, they talk about how it's because there's no accidents, they can't improve it. But if we're waiting on accidents to happen, then falls on us when something goes wrong. And I do understand why they're prioritising it based on that at the moment, because they've got limited funds. But I think anything we can do as a board to help support and potentially improve that would be great, because it's something that, I think every elected member has tried to get something done under this and we've been told no because of that budget.
Go back up to the transport one,
Could be wrong either.
I think, and say, I think is the board supports the small increase to the minor safety improvements program.
I would like more.
However, considering the heavy demand for safety improvements from our community, the board would like to see further increase. Cool, thank you.
Is it worth mentioning that we would still focus on earthquake damaged infrastructure? when it comes to roading and footpaths.
I guess there is a general statement around,
Because
but-
everyone always says it.
yeah, to the next line. I guess, the board also wishes to emphasize again,
Again.
yeah. Emphasize,
Yes.
Yeah, we can still empathise with it, but
My brain's not
well,
working.
apparently, Elon Musk reckons it's the worst thing about Western society, empathy.
yeah.
Um,
we said that.
Point of order.
and
There's
no,
no
well,
standing
no,
orders.
well, yeah, no, standing orders, they'll just, so wishes to emphasize again the importance of returning earthquake damaged roads and footpaths to, what's the word, acceptable levels of repair. Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's been a while. Next, going back down again, I think. Thank you for a minute, Christchurch. I think it's cathedral. I just said that we wouldn't. I just said that we would be fine with the target rate being held, but also the board would not want to put future ratepayers and councils into a worse position by doing so. So if the council is still on the hook for paying that money anyway, collecting it over a period of time is better than having to get it in a big chunk. So I guess it's a provisional yes.
I see.
So we kind of have it both ways, but I'm just not sure exactly what the status is of what the requirements will be and what the council signed up to. So should we increase our rating renewals further 2 million in order to keep our borrowing costs low over time? This will result in additional rates increase of 0.25% in 2025-26, but will generate 2.6 million overall rate savings over the next 6 years and 21.3 million over 30 years. Now I've said yes. This is my one of my more conservative inclinations is that fully funding depreciation, which is what this is really sensible because it means that you're in a position to replace the assets when they actually need replacing, and you're going to save quite a lot of money for the ratepayers. And yes, it might be a small increase now, but I think it is the most sensible thing to do. Does anyone disagree with that? Nope. All right, let's go. And obviously that'll save people Christchurch interest costs in the long run for a marginal increase in rates now. Do we have any comments on the proposed changes to fees and charges? I've said no, unless anybody has found anything that they object to. Trade waste, I made that trade waste submission yesterday. I have said the fixed volume rate, which is at the opposite end to what is the recommended option. And I have said this, we prefer this because it is the fairest BLs. It is the fairest to small businesses who have the least capacity to adapt to cost increases and because it incentivizes big users to reduce their waste. Now, it's not something that I know a lot about, but I know enough about it to know that that the small businesses are the ones who are going to struggle the most with to adapt to the cost change.
Sorry, can we pain and just really quickly go back up to the fees and charges? It looks here as if the I could be wrong here. Joe, what's the you may know because you walk past the signs quite a lot. The discount for community service card, Super Gold, Kiwi Able, Hapai, is that currently 25% or is that currently 30%? Because
I've been more 25.
okay, because it looks like they're proposing to change it to 30, and I do support that, and I want to note that as well. Because I mean, times are financially quite hard for our communities, especially out here in Christchurch East, and doing what we can to increase the ability for people, to get into pools and to get into, those sort of recreational spots is really important. And I mean, living by the beach, I think giving opportunities for people that wouldn't necessarily be able to learn how to swim or access pools is really important. So
I think it's actually quite fair the way it is like as well, with this gold card and everything.
Yes, well, at the moment it says 25% to 30% is what, so I just like to support that. Do you know? No.
I actually think that 25% is reasonable, as a reasonable cut.
It is quite
It is.
reasonable when people that come to my classes and everything, there's a lot of that have got the gold card and they come several times a week
Okay.
and buy full memberships.
So what do you
They- they-
Oh, no, I was going to suggest
Yeah,
that
we shut them down.
we're supporting the increase. I was going to say we support the increase from 25% to 30% for discount for Kiwi Able, gold card and community service holders for pools and gym.
I'm a gold card holder and I don't agree with increasing it to 30%. I think that,
So do you want that noted or do you just not want to put in either? Some have it not.
that's pretty much,
Yeah.
maybe not to put in your bit.
Yeah.
It's like, the line between having a gold card and not having a gold card. It is, there's people who are just under qualifying for community services cards and so on and so forth, and it's like 25% is more than enough.
Yeah, and with Kiwi Able, the caregiver can get in as well.
Well, yeah, so we have QEA card. And actually the best thing about it is the discount at Hamner, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So big. Like it's like cost us like $13 as a family to get into.
I propose we put out Hamner's.
Yeah.
Um,
I just know it's incredibly frustrating for families that are working and they scrape together and save up, take the kids for an outing, and the family next to them gets 25% because
They can't afford it and they haven't
Yeah.
as much of it.
Yeah,
no, because people who don't have community cards can't afford it and haven't had as much advantage either. Just because you've got a community services card does not mean that you're worse off.
I'm generally in favour of universal provision over targeted support, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So trade waste. The council recommend option is the 3-tiered volume. And their reasoning is because it's easier for big users. And I'm just, that to me, that seems like the opposite way around than it should be. And again, I've asked about this and nobody has been able to explain to me why we'd want that. So nobody's has a problem with that. We will move on. Reducing rates. So tell us about the services you value the most, would not want to reduce. So I just put out kind of standard. The board and our community place huge value on parks and other green space, libraries, pools, and we would not want to see service levels increase. Services you can manage without. And I said, despite being probably the talking point, very few people are able to identify any service level cut or saving that they would actually want. Board notes people who can afford to buy books or own a pool are often the first to suggest cuts to those services, but those cuts are neither supported by the board nor our community. I do find it very irritating when people who, and they're
I don't need it if I know one else
Yeah.
have it.
You know. I always say, if you want to cut library hours at Aranui Library, go down to Aranui Library on a Sunday morning and see who uses it. Yeah, and you can tell them why you're cutting it.
But I think things like maintenance and rubbish and toilets, all those things, you know, people, that's important to people, keeping all those amenities and services up and running as well.
So under that line, yeah, and I had
Up here.
say the board notes. So board notes again, but I won't. The board notes that basic services such as park maintenance, rubbish collection, and what's the word for and rubbish litter removal,
Mm.
litter removal. Litter removal. Any other things you want to put in there? Weeding,
Yeah.
weed removal,
Number of bins.
bin provision,
Thank you.
what's the word? Signage.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that.
All add to improving the amenity of our community.
I think we would say community satisfaction with the council.
Okay, so we have that. And
No, doesn't
the
matter.
communities and what's the word? And to improving the immunity and the satisfaction of the community with the council. Right, down we go, Climate Resilience Fund. So I said that, yeah. Do you have any feedback on the draft climate? So I said, the board supported the establishment of the fund and continues to do so, especially given our communities will be among the first to experience the more severe effects of climate change. The fund should not become a slush fund for future councils to expend on scientifically dubious projects. It needs to go into concrete projects that help people adapt to climate change. That's one of my worries, is that people go, oh, this is tangentially related to climate change. We'll put it into, some kind of event or something like that, when it's like, well, if we're going to put money into stuff, it needs actually to go into things.
Well, there's actions like people choosing to drive EVs and planting more plants. And that fund is not for that.
No, that's right.
That
So
fund is for infrastructure
Yeah.
and to future-proof our city.
so we could say the board would advise the fund be limited to infrastructure and resilience to secure the what's the word? The quality of life for the future, or quality of life for the future, something like that. How's that?
Sounds a bit funny, but
Yeah, no, I don't like that last bit.
to future-proof.
To future-proof.
Maybe.
To future-proof our city.
Our city for the future.
To future-proof our city. You can't future-proof it for the future. That's by definition, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
The future for the future in advance. Future-proof our city. Right. Yeah, sure. Air Force Museum, and I was a bit like.
Just on the climate one, it asked about the years. Or how long should we get the fund going before using it?
Did they ask?
Isn't it?
I missed that.
Oh, how long it'll be?
Yeah,
How
how
long?
long?
Oh, well,
It will be held in reserve for before being used.
I think it's a bit,
Well, we're using the trigger points to actually do adaptation.
Yeah, I think
and I think it should be a trigger point related.
yeah, I
Fund.
totally agree. The board suggests, rather than using timeframes for the reserve period, or sorry, not for, but to determine the reserve period, that the council uses trigger points.
That reserve needs are in it, Cindy.
We'll do spell check.
Yeah, well, yeah. Right, cool. That's good. Air Force Museum, I said yes, because it's a cultural asset for the city and region and country. Well, put it like this. If it wasn't our area, we would be like, yes. And if that's the case, then we wouldn't be, because it's tempting to go, oh, it's over in Wigram. But actually, I used to go there a lot with my kids.
Yeah, it's very educational for families.
Yeah. So I think it'd be a bit overly parochial for us not to support it.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the city did approve the saltwater ponds.
Can we just put down a comment? Yes, and please be aware, this is not in our ward, and we're not supporting our ward.
But the cultural
Yes,
asset,
on the definition of quid pro quo.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that kind of goes without saying.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And I might mention it in an oral submission, just say, you know, it's tempting for us to say, oh, this is not our east, therefore we won't support it, but actually it is an asset for everyone. City Central shuttle, I said we have residents, particularly older residents, that they find it, or older people, I should say, because it's already said residents, particularly older people, that they find it hard to get around the central city, and many of them fondly remember the former shuttle. I've had people say to me on the door, I don't go in the city anymore. I used to, and it used to be easy to get around because of the shuttle. So, and it's a $200,000 scoping study. It's not really much.
Some changes.
It's not much in the city to have a look at, is it?
I must admit, I was 8 when they stopped using it, so, but.
You were 8.
But I'm sure
Did you
it's
go
a
on it,
great
Alex?
idea.
Like,
Oh, yeah, I remember the yellow bus.
there's lots of, man, there's heaps more people in the city now. Like it's,
Yeah, it'd be handy if you know, worked in the city and you wanted to go to the supermarket.
And I mean, as well, when you go to Melbourne, right, and you go into the CBD, they've got free trams within that zone. So Central Shuttle will also, even if you don't live in that area, help you get around it, so.
as more and more of that housing comes online too, it will be, but you know, we'll see if it's viable.
Yeah, it
Potential,
would be sad to take it away from the trams and take business away from them. Didn't work.
yeah, I guess the transit's pretty limited.
And
Um,
expensive.
the council has a small number of properties which are no longer being used, blah, blah, blah. I said the board generally prefers the council retain assets, or if they are disposed of, go for a social purpose such as social housing or for charitable use. The only section that falls within our board area is 38 Bexley Road on the corner of Eureka and State Highway. This is opposite the Ngātahu residential development and could potentially be used for affordable social housing. I mean, it's right by the,
Opposite the fire station.
but
On that
then
down
they
by
put
there.
there's enough,
Very
it's
street.
about a 550 square meter section, because I looked it up, and it is, you could do what they've done at the housing development and put in a noise reducing fence, and you could put in some units there, like it's,
You could sell it and get 400 grand.
you could, but what's the
That
thing
would
is,
take rates down.
how much?
Cent.
0.00.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you look at it as because it's going to hold its value, like as an asset, you're better off to keep that in your portfolio and borrow against it if you really, you know, it makes a very small difference, but then you can use it for a social purpose.
The other thing, like thinking about the positioning of it and the actual stress on the Aranui sewage system, because they've got that other system in place. And they got told that there's not too much room for development with that system now, so it could in the future not have any connection to that system.
Sorry, I'm not quite. I'm a little confused. So the RNA system, what did you say about room for development? There's no room for development?
Well, that's what we got told by staff a few years ago.
Is that because of talking about the
I can't remember what the sewage system is called.
the suction?
The vacuum system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so. I assume that the new that housing
At
development.
Waitai who did
It's-
that would be on the same, so,
Yeah,
can't
or
see
that
an issue.
they've had to,
but in the future there could be.
yeah, I guess, a one section. We're not advocating a wholesale subdivision.
We'll just keep that as it
During
is.
the consenting process.
Yeah, and they'll be covered by the consenting processes, somebody has helpfully pointed out.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just leave that. Any other comments? So here we go, we can just work through so that everybody's make sure what familiar. We'll just clearly outline our priorities and our board plan and long-term plan submissions. But our top priorities are, so I've only got 4 there. I think. From the traffic plan, bureaucratic funded, provide a more upgrade should continue and funding should be made available to work in concert with the private development of the area. And then I said, also targeted rate on vacant lot should be applied with urgency to New Brighton. And I guess that's kind of the 5th point, but it's related to the mall. Then South Shore Estuary Edge project should to continue as consenting allows. In Preston's, now it's called in the long term, in the plan it's called the Preston's and Marshlands Community Centre rather than the Marshlands Hall. We would like this funding brought forward if possible, because at the moment it's at, and this is something that I know, like the Burwood people, this is a really important one for them. So I wanted to make sure that it was there in our list. We'd like funding to be brought forward if possible, because at the moment it's like in 2032. So here are the other ones and I have, so the Butterfield Street renewal, which was not unable to be funded through CRAF. Funding for the problem transport plan, which we can take that out.
Are we able to add a bit at the top saying that in no particular order? These aren't in particular order, I assume.
You know, we
What-
put all
what's-
the Linwood ones at the top, though.
Huh?
Yeah, that's.
Come back to that.
Yeah.
A cycle connection between Spencerville and Brooklands, traffic calming and speed reduction on Woodhouse Street, Marriott Road street renewal, increased road maintenance in the red zone, traffic safety calming in the Rockcliffe Crescent, Hartnell Street intersection to reduce antisocial road use. Sounds pretty bad. Reduction of Clarendon Street terrace to 30 to 40 kilometres an hour with traffic calming on the corner. Traffic calming outside Tamariki School by St John's, Clydesdale, St Luke's intersection. Road narrowing and traffic calming on St John Street, Bromley. Places to Linwood to reduce heavy vehicles and antisocial road use. 30k speed on Gloucester Street through the shops, because it's all, Gloucester Street's going from being 30 along the whole length to now going back to all being 50. But it's really busy through that little village.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't understand this, it went from that whole street, so from Linwood through to about Surrey Street,
Oh, yeah.
or just before Woodham, it's 30, and then it goes to 50 through the shops. It was the reverse of where it should have been. So that Marine Parade, it's just from you, Joe, south extend strip of surface onto the gravel border dune side to create extra room for cyclists. McLean Street flooding issues, sump replacement. QE2 master plan, which is the same thing we had in the long-term plan. QE2 space-based separate line item, it's not. Burwood Park cricket facilities renewal is not. I couldn't find it. New Brighton Olympic track upgrade at RFT domain. Hardship renewals at RFT domain, standalone item to be included in the LTP, that's not there either. South Brighton Community and Car Park renewal, Cocaine Reserve, North Ramp retaining wall, street side need renewing. Fenster Park flooding issues need to be remedied.
Got your top of things ready?
I don't know where it's sitting at in terms of, I know that we were asking this incomplete. Joe might be able to Joe might be more aware of this because I know that she was addressed to it in an email recently, but Marine Parade towards, South New Brighton Way, how they've got gravel, and we've had a few residents ask us.
That's it.
That's extending it to cyclists, but it's not paving it.
No,
It's extending the
Strip of surface.
the strip of the surface.
Yeah.
So you'd actually, where the gravel is, you take the ceiling.
Yeah.
Over further so that it's safe for cyclists. So that's what
that's what it says.
Could we just-
We'll seal it rather than have shingle.
What could we just right seal. Because it's in a
Because
strip
you
of
didn't
surface, so
want
it's,
Sealing.
yeah, well, I don't know, what are other people gonna read it as?
Extend a strip of surface,
It doesn't say how far to extend it, it says onto the gravel board.
a sealed, extend a sealed
Sealed.
strip of, you can take the surface on too.
Or a
Sealed
sealed
strip
surface,
onto the
a
gravel.
sealed surface.
Yeah, just take off surface back away, I think. How would that be?
You can't just say seal the surface.
Seal-
Extend a sealed,
Go seal onto the gravel.
a sealed strip to the gravel border, so just take everything.
This is the, sorry,
Yeah, see,
the gravel border, you mean to the gravel, right,
over the gravel.
over the gravel, so,
Yes.
so you got the road here. And you got the little post and you got the gravel base, so you're saying extend it completely to
To
the
the
gravel.
gravel.
So I just want to reassure you that they're not gonna make a whole plan without coming back to us,
No,
so.
And it's the clearest for the site.
And that we have requested
Yeah.
for quite a few years now,
Yeah.
and the South Shore requested it as well as
Yeah.
part of the submissions.
and can we add a point at the top saying in no particular order? Because they're not in order,
No, then which ones are not in order?
well,
Bullet point.
Kiwi is quite low.
Oh, no, so our top ones are
I understand that,
in order.
so underneath 4, if we just say, and the following are priority.
So these are other projects
In no particular
Yeah.
order.
that the board wishes to see proceed. And in brackets, you can put in no particular order.
Thank you.
And so these are all things that have either were in our long-term plan submission or have come up at the community board or have come to our attention.
Now, we did mention the pipelines earlier on.
Yeah.
That doesn't have to be
No,
put in
we
again.
don't need to add that again.
Sorry, before we move on to the next, which ones are the pipelines?
Well, the pipeline's up. We haven't put that in this list.
Oh, so it's not in this list?
No.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
It just means we don't have to add it.
I got told that there is funding for the pier upgrades, and I just want to make sure that there is funding for the pier
Yeah.
upgrade.
Oh, yeah. I do have some more here from I think that we I can see if we can find the pier upgrade, but
They said it's included in the coastal reserves or infrastructure renewals.
reserves, will be maybe reserves here, yeah, we have that.
But I just want to ensure that that's itemised because we get that meeting
Um,
that it was talked about.
yeah,
And there's still scoping out what needs to be done.
so we can just put New Brighton Pier.
Okay, this is the response back on it.
Oh, okay.
But just to make councillors aware
Oh,
that it
yeah.
is an important issue.
So we can just say, what's the word? We'll just say New
We'd like
Brighton,
to ensure
New Brighton Pier renewal, and in brackets for 1922. That's the program for 1922.
Okay.
The others are, I think we should mention, and it's in the renewals program, but I think we should mention Mace's Road and Burwood Road.
And New Brighton Road.
Yep. And New Brighton Road renewals. Then you've got, so that's New Brighton Road, that's New Brighton Road. That's all that covers. So we'll just say that New Brighton Road includes all of those ones you put in.
And then
Shore Ave,
Pratt Street.
yeah, Pratt Street, Shore Ave. I think I think if we
Are they
go,
also
if we
road
say,
renewals?
And graffiti, we were hoping to do with craft, but we can't do it with craft now because the budget's low.
So just to confirm, these are all road renewals that you're referring to?
so if you put new, yeah, road renewals,
Or road renewals.
yeah.
And
Um,
then I will then list them. So then we don't
Okay.
miss any off. Does that make sense? I'll just change the tabs.
Yeah.
So then you said Flat Street, sorry,
Graffiti, yeah. Collingwood Street.
How much of this will be done through the Pages Road project as full scope is done?
I don't know if those streets will be repaired as part of it, but just the corners
Oh.
where they,
Else
Designing.
Terrace surely will be.
I
Oh,
thought,
serious,
I thought Pratt was meant to be redone in its entirety.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry,
we
I
don't
wasn't
have
thinking,
those details.
I thought that was part of the
I think-
consultation.
We will.
Oh, right, sorry, it's the, yeah,
As we've mentioned.
yeah.
so let's keep going through this list. Oh,
Are there any that are like a really high priority? Because the more you list, the less
Yeah.
likely you'll get.
we'll get it, we get the list down, and then we can, we want to prioritize, but, we also want to, make sure that we have an appendix of the things. So we got, where were we? So we've got Hawke Street, we've got,
You've got Marriott's right up there, they're gonna do.
yes.
yeah, I mean, I guess Marine Parade full renewal.
Marine Parade doesn't really need
No.
renewal.
Right, we'll take that.
The actual
It's the
curb and
curb
channel,
Yeah.
the dam needs
Yeah,
it.
Marine Parade, Curb and Channel, I mean, yeah. Else Terrace renewal. Collingwood Street, what's the word? Manhole remediation,
Yeah,
Is that in addition to the road renewal?
so
so that would be separate, that would be something
Yeah,
else, I think. So I
so-
think we won't mention that, we'll just keep plugging away at trying to get.
yeah, okay, not that then.
So which one are we going for, the road renewal or the,
No, that's,
No.
that's just something to do with the manholes being too high in the middle of the road. So it's actually not the road, it's probably
So if
the
we-
water infrastructure,
or we'll just leave that
I
one?
think. Would that be right?
Yeah, we'd still need a road.
So-
Bringing the road up.
Yeah, so we've got Bower Ave, Ascot Ave, Lever Terrace, all need, what's the word, repair?
Yeah.
Remediation,
Okay, so Bell Ave, Lever Terrace,
and Ascot Ave. All need their, their substandard repairs remediated.
that still comes under road renewals of some description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Ryan Ave,
Just the section by Bow,
well, Will Ryan Ave by Bell Park.
How am I spelling Will Ryan?
WILLRYA.
And Bridge Street, is extending the paths and cycleways to join the bridge and onto Anzac Drive. I'm sure that will be included in the,
or hopefully it's in
In the
the
orbital.
orbital thing.
yeah.
Is that correct, what I just
Okay,
typed?
well,
Yeah,
let's leave that because we've mentioned the orbital thing.
We'll take this one off.
Yeah, so we've mentioned that. So if we just go back up. And I think we should pick, in a balance from the wards too. Our top renewal. So we've got, we've got three wards. We pick, the priorities for street renewal. So you guys can decide the coastal ones and we can decide the Linwood ones.
I mean, I think Joe and I pretty much agree.
So what do you think should be the two?
what do you think? I know what I think.
I'm happy to go with what you think. What do you think?
Well, I think that the top renewals would be Marriott's Road,
Yeah,
Pratt Street, and probably Collingwood for them.
my only concern with Pratt Street is I don't want it to get redone if they're gonna be changing it because of the plan with the Pages Road Bridge.
The whole renewal has to do with the water infrastructure underneath as well, so
But if they're doing it all at the same, it would be, I mean, we're always pushing for things to be done financially viable.
But you could say,
Do that.
you could say Pratt Street, and so. Can you just go above this line?
and I think Collingwood Street would have the water infrastructure done as well underneath it.
So if you put street renewal priorities. And then say, and then bullet points, yeah, Pratt Street. In brackets, in concert with Pages Road Bridge project, and then
Marriott's Road,
Marriott's Road, Collingwood, yeah, and so, and then I think for Linwood it'd be Maces slash rural. Yeah,
And St John's, that top one is the intersects with Maces.
yeah,
Macy's Road, Brewer Road, St John's Road.
Was there any bird ones in particular that they face?
St John's Road, Bromley.
I thought they wanted
The,
But can I start taking some of these off?
yeah,
So Marriott,
yeah,
I think with like I was listening to them talking about the Dallington ladies talking about Cheam Street and Southern Place the other day. And about how these residents, and it's been left for ages, and that's what Pratt Street is like. It's just a mess and it's got residents living there. And I think it's really unfair for the residents that live there to actually have to put up with that for so long.
Yeah.
where have I seen further mention of Macy's? Oh, I
Macy's.
can't
With
imagine it.
Burwood Ward. Can we highlight the Burwood and Murray-Harra intersection?
yeah,
Was
It's not a
that,
street renewal.
that's not a, that's a,
No, but that's just in amongst our projects to actually highlight
That's
Well, it's
around where it's.
the roundabout at Burwood Hospital.
Yeah, but aren't they doing that road at the moment, or they're not doing anything with that intersection?
No, there was
that's the
water,
corridor.
Right.
they're doing Murray-Harra Road work, but also recently they're doing Burwood Road water infrastructure, which has closed the intersection. for
So there is, and so Burwood and Maiho intersection improvement
days.
is the project that we should make sure that we,
it's in our ball plan, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
and it is.
Is that,
It is on the AP, but.
is that not already up there? Because we've listed 1 to 4 of what our board plan stuff is. Is it worth just maybe putting it in there as
We
5?
could put it as 5,
And
yeah,
then take out of that, because I mean, it doesn't fit.
yeah, no, that's right.
Okay, do you have any street renewals or Burwood in mind?
Unfortunately, I don't have a list of streets in Burwood on the top of my head. If you guys don't mind, when I can talk, I'll talk to Greg. I'll email Greg and Tim and say, can you give us 3 streets
Yeah.
priorities for renewal?
Yeah.
And we'll just add those.
Yeah.
So going down, so the rest of these,
Would, as we talked to Dave the other day with Broomfield,
mm,
and keeping that open, would that be one of the ones that we could look at doing a renewal on if we did keep it open?
you mean Broome, yeah, you could, I guess, so if being in
So ask the
Ask them,
guys,
yeah,
but just
Yeah.
to mention, because if we do keep that route open and it is well used,
yeah,
then
next one,
it might be
Yeah.
time to renew it.
Could we, would it make more sense to potentially just with the QE2 master plan, put that under the parks and rec bullet point we had higher up? Because I mean, it is quite a big
Yeah.
priority.
we can put that in the,
If everyone's okay with that, and the bullet point below it,
Oh, no,
sorry, Cindy,
yeah.
as well. If you copy it, just make it easier to copy things, yeah. Yeah.
so there you go. Yeah. Pete, go back down there again, just make sure that there's, yeah, we don't want to highlight everything, so, so,
Looks a bit busy.
yeah, so so you can have, further road. We can divide it into another heading, but like further road renewals, separately from this, we don't need to do that all now. So you can just say, road. Well, yeah. Was.
Yeah.
And then can separate them out into categories, just so if we go back down, we can tidy that up later, eh?
Yeah, I'll have a play tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you.
so then the general comment, the board supports maintaining levels of service at the same levels present in general, however, we'd like to see level of service increase in and around suburban villages such as Walsall, New Brighton and Queens Park. For example, rubbish removal, weaving, infrastructure maintenance, spot repairs, backflow valve maintenance, beach access, boardwalks, tracks infrastructure being lifted. The board wishes to ensure funding for playground renewals is adequate for true like-for-like replacements and would like staff to investigate additional procurement avenues. The board would like to ensure that there is adequate funding to maintain sand dunes at low enough level in front of here permanent.
Could I be a pain and potentially also maybe in the bullet points ahead, I know we've put quite a lot in, but we've talked quite a lot about accessibility. And I know we've obviously got an accessibility plan with council, but just potentially ways that we can improve accessibility to some of our current, what would you describe it as, like the foreshore and other.
What do you mean accessibility?
Maybe having the site visit.
Disability.
Accessibility, right. Well,
I don't know, we would.
I had,
easy.
there is funding somewhere in amongst everything. I had contact with a guy in a wheelchair last week or the week before, and he wanted some disability access into Bottle Lake. And I contacted Robbie, and Robbie's dealing with him and said that there is something that they can
Well,
probably.
we can, so under where it says lifted. We can just make it a bullet point.
Beach access board,
Well, you
infrastructure
say,
maintained and lifted maybe, I don't know.
you can say, we,
That's what I did there.
help this man.
It's already there, big technical board.
No, but it's not,
Where it's got been lifted.
I mean, specifically within that about.
Being lifted
But
and made more
Really
disability
clear.
friendly. And made more disability friendly.
because a lot of the time, the accretion's just coming up, the sand's blowing over them. And the access they did have
Yes,
disappears.
Yeah.
So it needs to actually be really maintained,
Mm.
as they need
Yeah.
to stay on top of it so that it is accessible at all times.
so this is pretty much the same as what we said in the LTP. I don't know if we need to say the stuff around the playgrounds anymore. To kind of, we have bashed that to death a
Like,
bit.
like,
But it is something that also,
I'd like to keep.
but we
it-
need to get additional for Thompson Park.
yeah, so I'm happy to keep that. So is everyone happy with that, pros?
Yeah.
Right, let's go down.
What did it say about heat burner?
Oh, that was your thing.
The sand dunes being low.
Oh, yeah,
So if you are happy with this, subject to the Burwood stuff being added, and there may be one or two bullet points to add, you guys are all right with that, I'm not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be to our main priorities or anything.
Paul McMahon's there, Paul McMahon.
Do we need to, say anything about we'd like to see some funding put aside for investigations into, freedom camping options? We don't need to do that.
That's been dealt with separately.
That's already been, and it's, I don't know, I mean, that would be, I think that's BAU stuff that's already happening, so. I'm not, like. I don't think there's,
Funding limitations.
I don't think the issue is funding, I think the issue is prioritisation.
But investigating options, like I had a really good call today from a guy that does Kiwi Camp, which is
Yeah.
a setup where
Station.
the council would have to actually get facilities, a few facilities, and then they do an app and fob scheme where it's a user pay.
Well,
So that would be like investigating all of that kind of thing as
I
well.
guess where would you, like, in terms of the submission, where would you put this? You could put it in the as another bullet point. We could just put another.
Well, if it's already included, then we
So-
don't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
but if we thought, then it's actually a good opportunity to actually highlight the issue and try to get something next to it.
I think part of the proposed wording for Celeste's notice of motion going to the council, I think one of the options was to potentially look at alternate sites.
Yeah,
So that would be part of the notice of motion, work, the investigations around that. So dependent on the outcomes of that, and we can't give you a timeline as to the outcome of the investigations if a notice of motion is accepted and proceeds.
because
If it would be worth putting it in the board's annual plan, that might be something for next year.
I spoke to Kim yesterday and she said that she would like us as a board to support the notice of motion, as formally support them, but also
We did.
if they can actually have the opportunity to go and actually present the petition and speak prior to the notice of motion if it goes through.
So she'll have to, or if it's Kim or the
Or whoever
Residents
it is.
Association or whoever's presenting it,
Yeah,
they would need to contact the council secretariat team.
yeah.
So it doesn't, it's the freedom camping side of it's been dealt with the council. So they would have to approach that team. I think I provided you with the email address, the council support at CCC when I provided you that response back with the standing orders information.
I'll have to look it up. I just
but-
forwarded it on, but
Yeah, otherwise, feel free to reach out again and I'll give you their email
Yeah.
address for them to make contact for
Yeah.
their presenting.
do you think it's worth mentioning? Not really.
I mean, it's not, no harm in mentioning it, we can add a bullet point, sorry, Cindy.
It's okay.
To,
Sort of put options or
we can just,
investigate.
if we go, just add another point to after Marine Parade. Just, ensure funding available for investigation and implementation of freedom camping solutions.
I'm just thinking of another thing, to do with regulation of bylaws. It's nothing that we need to do regarding any of those.
No, I don't think so. I think we submit on the bylaws as they come up. Yeah, so that's a kind of a operational thing. All right, I think we can draw it to a close. Would someone like to move that we resume standing orders?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, team. So
I second.
Thanks, Alex.
all those in favour say aye. Against, carried. So can we move both 3 and 4 together?
I'm happy to move. Oh, sorry, I thought you were-
Second by Jackie. All right, all those in favour say aye. Against, carried. All right, meeting karakia, and then we're done, almost beautiful. Well, kia tau, te rangi Māori e, o te rangi e tu nei, o papatua nuku e takoto nei, o te taeao e awhi nei, ki ronga i a tātou, tihei mō.
Everyone.